semester, so you've already don't answer my trivia questions because you know the answers. Okay, but does everybody have one of these?
Yes.
Okay, so you memorize it. Yeah. Let's just. I'm gonna throw out some basic dates that every ambassador should know. So you can just holler out. You don't have to raise your hand or anything. But as I shout the date out, then you tell me what happened during that year. So 1886.
Winthrop was founded.
Winthrop was founded. Okay, 1894-95. Moved here, right? Moved here from Columbia. Okay. Also, I'm going to give you another 1895. You know what else happened in that year?
Margaret Nance was built.
94.
Oh.
So, and it is the oldest building on campus as far as that was actually built here during the construction. But what's the oldest building on campus?
Little Chapel.
Little Chapel, right. And it was moved here in approximately when? Does anybody know? It was moved here in the 1930s by the Alumni Association. Brick by brick, every brick was numbered. It was reconstructed brick by brick in like a puzzle. Moved from Columbia. And what's the significance of the little chapel?
The founder is over buried.
Well, they're buried under there, but what was it used for?
It was the first class.
Right, first classroom. So let me go back to my timeline now. We got 1886. I forgot 1889, which is a really important date for me as far as the history of Winthrop is concerned. Does anybody know what happened in 1889? What would we have had back then if there were people going to school for maybe only 2 years, or they had come from... Right, the Alumni Association was founded in 1889. Does anybody have any idea how many members we have in our Alumni Association? Any clue? Let me give you a couple of things. We're not a dues-paying Alumni Association. Some schools have, you pay dues and you're in the Alumni Association. They used to say if you walked across campus, we took you in the Alumni Association. That's not true. But if you've attended Winthrop for a year and you want to say that you're part of a Winthrop Alumni Association, you can. But generally, it's mostly graduates or people that attended here for at least a year. So we've pretty much taken everybody that's walked through the doors since 1886 and had classes here. So how many people do we think that we have?
Oh, that way.
What? No, not a million. We've think about a little bit lower there. We're not in the millions. We're not in the
500,000.
no, about 50,000.
Oh.
About 50,000. Now, why would that number be kind of low, though, to you? That seems kind of low, right? Because we have about 6,500 students that come to Winthrop now, something like that. It was a female school until when?
1974.
Correct, 1974. Now, we had men on campus before then, but they didn't actually stay in the residence halls until 1974. All right, I'm jumping around my timeline. 1977, if anybody gets this one, they get a bonus prize. You'll never guess this one, but it's just random. 1977 is when the Model UN came to Winthrop. It just celebrated its 35th anniversary.
35th.
Last year was its 35th anniversary. All right, how about 1992? Anybody know what happened in 92? You were born, okay, in 1992. All right. What else happened besides you making me and Dr. Judge feel very old? What in 1992? Anybody know? We became Winthrop University in 1992. We were Winthrop College before then. We became Winthrop University. So we've got a lot of dates, but the basic ones you need to know: 1886. You need to know 1894 and 95. The reason I say 94 and 95 is because 94 was when they were building buildings here to start the campus. 95 is when we came to Rock Hill and started classes, and in 1895 is when the Blue Line tradition started. Who can tell me what the Blue Line is? Right, we have it at Convocation, but do you know what its origin was? I mean, why did D.B. Johnson, our founding president, why did he start the Blue Line in 1895?
Do you want my phone-a-thon answer?
Give me your phone-a-thon answer, Nora.
Convocation is, or Blue Line is when the president would lead all of the girls in their blue dresses down Oakland Avenue to each church.
Right, to the church of their choice. In 1895, they would walk down, and that tradition continued until pretty much the end of uniforms at Winthrop, which was in 1959. So they wore blue wool uniforms, and if you ever go to an exhibit at the archives, they'll do that. Actually, when we have homecoming and alumni reunion in November, we usually have an exhibit up in 206 Tillman, where the International Center used to be. That's where our office is now. So you guys should come by there and just look, because we have the old uniforms on display. What was one of the things that Winthrop students had to do in order to graduate back in the early days?
Swim class.
Right, they had to swim, had to pass a swimming test. And so we have some of those old wool bathing suits that we put on display as well. And I would have thought you would have sunk to the bottom of the Tillman pool, but anyway, so why is this important for you as ambassadors? I mean, come on, this is 2012. Why is it? They're fun facts, but I mean, what? It's the history of Winthrop, okay? And just like what Dr. Judge was saying about how religion shapes your thinking and has part of culture, and how you want to have that liberal arts foundation and all the general education requirements, the history of your institution is important too, because it says a lot about what the institution's mission is, okay? Who can tell me anything about D.B. Johnson, the founding president, except for the fact that he's buried under the little chapel? We've already heard that. Good point there. Does anybody know anything about the man? Yes. He did. Boy, they have read it and memorized it. I'm very impressed. Yes, he wanted to start a state teachers college because what was happening in South Carolina in the 1800s? In the late 1800s? What had happened to the state? The Civil War had come to the end. Do you think people were really very concerned about education at that time? What were they concerned about? Surviving. Okay, rebuilding their farms, figuring out if there was anybody to help them rebuild their houses, their farms, their churches that had largely been destroyed. So D.B. Johnson was really a visionary. And he was the son of an educator. His father was a president of a college in Tennessee. And what else do you know? A fun fact that's a bad, tragic thing about D.B. What do you know?
His brother died in a train.
No, you're mixing up stories there, but you're close there. It has to do with a train. Anybody remember?
He lost his arm.
He lost his arm, right, in a train accident. He jumped off of a train when he was about 8 years old. He was playing hooky from school, and he and a friend or cousin, I'm not sure, I can't remember the story about that, but they jumped off the train, his arm got mangled, and they couldn't save it. Now, he was 8 years old, so that kind of changes if you're a little boy playing around and you're 8 years old in that time period, and they couldn't save your arm. You have to throw yourself into something else. And he threw himself into math. That was what he was really good at. He was also very much into clubs and organizations and was one of the first presidents of one of the local, in the YMCA movement, which became a large part of college campuses, clubs and organizations. So the thing that's important about D.B. Johnson is that he wanted the state of South Carolina to have educated people, and that he was very persistent in how he did that. So he went to the school board in Columbia and said, we need this school. We need to start a college. And they said, that's fine, but if you're going to do it, you're going to have to find the funds for it. And you have to do that at your own expense. So he took off in July of 1886, and he went all the way up to see a guy who was the head of the Peabody Fund, which was kind of a philanthropic organization that gave people money. And he wanted to get $500 to start Winthrop. And the man that was the head of the Peabody Fund was a guy named Robert C. Winthrop. Gosh, they're good. And so that's why we're called Winthrop. And Robert Winthrop gave him not $500, but anybody know? A little bit more. $1,500. $1,500 and a collection of books from his personal library, which we still have in our archives today. And he continued to give him books every year from his personal library until Robert Winthrop died. Unfortunately, Robert Winthrop never saw this campus. He died shortly before the cornerstone laying of Tillman. But he would visit when the campus was in Columbia. But he never saw the actual campus here in Rock Hill. Anybody know other cities that were